What's up guys, Mr. Bazy here, and today we're going to be talking about two particular objective game types, CTF and Oddball. And just before we get started, I want to say I'm going to analyze them from a competitive and a social setting because I do want to include both. They're both equally important with what I'm going to be talking about today. So this whole conversation is going to tie back into toggleable abilities, a theory that I've had going for a while. So the first one I want to get into is CTF. Now CTF, what we saw in Halo 4 was a non-droppable flag. It was bound to the player on pickup, and they got a damage boost. They were actually able to attack. First of all, they were able to attack back, unlike any other Halo before that, with a pistol. And they also got a damage boost with the pistol, making it slightly more powerful, actually kind of making flag a little bit of a power weapon because of how fast the pistol could shoot, making it a really good supportive role, which, before it was completely defenseless. Now, this is both good and bad. From a competitive standpoint, this is really, really bad. The only reason for this is because it takes away a lot of the other factors that had to be considered in the game before this actually was, taken into place. Beforehand, the player had to consider things like, do I want to stop the flag juggle to engage this person? Or, they had to learn how to successfully juggle the flag in succession and very, very repetitively to maintain their speed. Something, again, that I forgot to mention was actually allowed in Halo 4 with that particular variation of the game type. There was no speed slowdown, so you really weren't inhibited too much. There was a lot of factors that weighed in that took out a lot of the skill set needed to be an objective CTF player. Turned it more into anyone's role can do it. So, and there's nothing wrong with that. Again, I'll get to it in a moment, but for social setting, that's really good. But from a competitive standpoint, you take out a lot of those factors that made, competitive CTF really hard to master. Something that, it was just another level of skill that needed to be overcome to really, be good at the game and be viable to your team. So let me just list the factors really quick. I mean, first of all, you were slowed down when you were carrying the flag, so you had to juggle it. You had to become very good at juggling, very, very consistent at juggling, and there was also a lot of teamwork involved. You saw a lot of team plays where they would pass the flag to one another, something that again was eliminated because of bound on pickup until death. So that's essentially what I'm talking about. Also, you were defenseless. You had to choose. Do I want to stop running the flag? Is there a teammate around to pass the flag to so I can engage this person if they're getting shot at? There were a lot of other factors, again, like this one, that are lost with this newer, updated variation of the game type. And those are the things that I'm talking about. So, from a social setting, this is actually really, really good. It takes out a lot of those factors, and if you just want to play CTF, you want to play the classic capture the flag, you don't want to be too intense, you want to just chill out with your friends maybe, or you just want to play a more relaxed game mode, not really try as hard. It really separates the bar between competitive and social, and for that I think that both of those things should be in the game, which again is why toggleable abilities should be a thing. From movement and weapon abilities like descope and stuff like that, all those things should be toggleable so that people can really tailor what Halo they want to play as. So that's what I'm talking about. But moving on from this, because I think I've covered CTF enough and you guys kind of understand the point that I was trying to make, is Oddball. Now Oddball, again, is the same thing. Toggleable abilities should be applied in this game mode as well, because the competitive way that this was implemented in Halo 4, the new variation of the game type, just wasn't as competitively sound as the previous ones. So the reason I say this is because in the past, when you were, you had control of the ball, let's just say you're on Guardian, okay? Guardian's a great example of Oddball. When you lost control of whatever position you were holding, you lost control of the ball. You could potentially try to throw it off the map, but you had to set up for that. It wasn't as simple as, I'll just run away for as long as possible and then just chuck it out of the map and there's nothing they could do about it. A lot of time, if you didn't do it just right, you would actually fail at throwing the ball off the map if you didn't set up for it properly for the absolute most time you could pull out of it before you died. And with the, if that did happen, when the whole team went down, you were already at a deficit because you dropped the ball off the map. Potentially a lot of your teammates or all of your teammates have died, so the enemy team has full range to set up for the next ball. Now this is not something that generally happened. You could run away for a very long time, try to escape as long as possible to get your teammates to spawn so you weren't at that massive deficit. Also sometimes in the previous version, you would fail at throwing the ball off the map and lose control of the ball in your power position and actually have the enemy team take over the position you were just holding with the ball. So there were a lot of other factors, not as much as CTF admittedly, but with Oddball there were a lot of factors that needed to be considered, such as juggling. Again, you need to juggle the ball, something you could do in this Oddball, but it was much more feasible to throw it. Throwing it over long distances is possible with this new one. Something that I just don't think is, again, it's not as competitively sound as not being able to throw the ball. From a social standpoint, it is very good. It's really good. You can do a lot of fun things aside from the classic Oddball, game type. You can do a lot of fun things other than just Oddball in social settings. But from a competitive standpoint, you really shouldn't be able to just toss the ball across the map to a teammate that's just spawned. It really takes away from that whole idea of power positions, from locking down a part of the map and trying to maintain it. Those are all skillful things that have been forgotten with the new variation of the game type. And again, I don't think the new variation should be discounted or removed. I just think it should be toggleable so that you can play to the specific game type that you want to play. You can tailor the kind of Halo you want to play at, to yourself. That's what I'm talking about. It's not about, which one's better than the other. It's just which one is more competitively sound and which version is more socially sound. And I think that a lot of people will agree with me that the new variations of the game type are extremely socially sound and they're really, really fun to play. I mean, I personally really like playing the more relaxed game mode when I'm not playing competitive. It's more fun. It really is more fun. And from that standpoint, if you're looking at just fun factor, it's great. It really is fantastic. But that's not the only, viewpoint that you need to look at it from. And that's not the only thing you should consider. And if it is the only thing you're considering, then again, it should be toggleable so that people can really dial in the kind of Halo they want to play. They can really customize it and tailor it for their specific desires. So that's essentially what I mean with these two game types. The other game types are, they're really unchanged. King of the Hill really wasn't unchanged. Regicide is something where, that is, or no, I'm sorry, not Regicide. What was it? The one where you could throw it. I'm drawing a blank, but the one where you could throw it in, kind of like soccer. The guy would be like, goal, or whatever. Really fun game type, and that's where the throwing ability for Oddball comes into play. That's awesome. That's really, really fun. But classic Oddball should be able to be toggled on and off. The ability to throw the ball so that you can play classic Oddball should be toggled on and off because it's just a little bit more competitively sound over the new versions. But again, we've seen these new versions make some really fun game types like that new, that game mode with Oddball. Again, I'm still drawing a blank, but you know what I'm talking about. There's so many other things you can do. You can play football, you can play catch with it. I mean, a lot of, I gotta admit, guys, when I was bored, sometimes when me and my friends were just talking, we would start up a custom game on just a blank map and just start throwing the Oddball around. I mean, like we were playing catch on the video game. I mean, it sounds kind of stupid, but it's just something you can do. It's an ability in the game to do, and that is cool to have, which is also why you shouldn't take out the previous abilities. That's my point. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Like the video if you did. If you want to comment down below about anything, if you disagree with me, or if you have anything to add to this, or maybe a different idea, or maybe a game type that you'd like to see that has toggleable abilities, definitely let me know down in the comments below. I'd be very interested to conversate about you with that. With that being said, guys, if you want to become a Sage in training, make sure you subscribe today, and as always, this has been Mr. Bazy, your favorite Sage, and I'll see you in the next video.